We're here to solve this extra birthday surprise puzzle by Grant Fikes. It has a magic square in its center with a sum of 34, and Grant's turned 34 years old, so this is a really neat theme to use in any puzzle, but it's also quite impressive for a Fillomino puzzle. You'll see all this open border on the outside. I'm very curious to see how this puzzle solves as we work through it. One of the things for sure as we get started is we're just going to sort of take these big 2x5 blocks that have all different digits and just force some of the key constraints coming through them to work through. One of those things that happens is we're going to get numbers hitting other numbers which have to deflect. For instance, that 3 was too large to go. The 16 comes into the middle. Got a 7 coming out here, 12, 14, 6, again, just through the deflections. Not as many different digits on the bottom side, but we've got 5 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 7, sort of giving some shape over here. So we'll mark those in the grid, and just to help people visually track, but also for the answer confirmation. Either the edges or digits will be what we want to end up using, but we'll start like this. We've got a hidden polyomino shape growing out from here, which is not going to be able to be 1 or 3 in size. We've got a sure finish for this shape. And we've got the start into the grid. So we're going to need to get some more progress, I think, into the center to really make some headway. And one of the constraints we're now seeing is we've marked in this 11 and 7 as we started to pin this 13 in a space where it's going to need to extend out to get to this 13, but in doing that, it's going to mostly constrain where this 8 may or may not go. But let's sort of think through all the pieces for this, and eventually we're going to get a key constraint on this side of the puzzle. So this 13 has blocked the 7, for instance, which now means this 12 has to come to the left. This has 5, 6, 7 cells, which now means this 8 has to get out, which means this 13 now has to take just this channel. This 11 has to come down through the kind of channel I'm making there. And in doing this, we're going to get where, as this 8 keeps growing, and as this 13 keeps growing, the 8 is going to complete in this cell and form a new forcing channel coming down. And this is a hallmark of a lot of Fillomino when they go well, is you get a large set of single placement edges that are going to force their way around the grid and lead to a lot of the rest. This 5 has to come out, and in coming out, it's going to force the 13 to dodge it, force the 5 up here. Let's now do a count. We've taken 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, if these 13 were the same. And if this 5 goes any further up, it would actually block off the grid. So it does look very much that the 13s have to connect. They have just enough room to do so. And we get that marked in to the grid. The 3 is going to continue straight up and form that, and that's all good. This now is a group of size 8. We've got a hidden shape that's either a 2 or larger. If it's larger, it's got to also pair with a 4. 4 plus 4 is no good, so it's exactly size 4. Sorry, exactly size 2. This 4 has to take this cell, or it would form a problem, and if it takes that cell without taking the one just above it, it would lead to 2 2s touching, and so this is the only way to break that up, to not put a 2 near this cell. The 4 can't reach to this corner, so this has to be a 1, and then you have to put the 4s again across and touching the 2 1 cells. Coming back to the center of the grid, these 7s are going to close off with this 7. This 3 is going to come over. We've got a 12, which means the 12 is now being forced in a pretty limited way. The 16 is being forced in a limited way. And we're getting this kind of progress over here. Let's sort of do a count around the 11 and just see how we're doing with that. So I see that we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need to take 2 more, 10, 11. One for sure, though, is not this cell, because the 10 has to get out somehow. And so if the 10 is getting out, it's coming down this way. That actually means the 9 is coming out this way, which forces the 5 back up. So the 11 always takes this cell. The 6 is going to come down this channel, at least those, and where the 11 needed to take 2 extra cells, this now is the last of the extra cells it can take, so it's forcing down for sure. The 6 is going to have to come like so. the 12 is coming down, the 14 is coming down, we leave just enough space for the 6. And again, we'll just draw in the edges so it's easier to track. But with our way we've implemented this in PenPaw, you can use just the edges or just the numbers. In this big puzzle, we're using both just because it can get tricky to track with the smaller screen. So we've got some 16s growing out here. Let's come back to the center. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, around the 10. The 15 is always going to have to come down. This 14 is going to come down. This 5 goes out. We've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That finishes the 12 fully. With this 14 group growing and this 5 group. These 5s and these 5s connect, so they're going to always close out this shape. Although we don't know for sure if which of the two options it takes. This 10 takes one more cell, but we can't force any of those, so it's probably going to be key to come back to the top here and to see some more things around the 16. We've got 8, 9, 10. We'll always take potentially 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, which puts in this 9 coming out, this 7 comes down. That was an exact match for the space of having 16, so those fill in. The 9 comes up, the 2 comes up, the 9 comes over and across, that finishes that out. The 5 now has to come up, the 2 comes over. We actually have finished all this space, but we're going to have a new hidden polyomino forming of some size after we mark off the edges of what we know around it. So the finished 9, the finished 16, the finished 4, and the finished 5. So we have at least these 3 because it's not a 1 or 2 in size, but it's also touching a 4 and doesn't want to touch to a 5. So it's going to be a 2 if a 3 is a split there. Let's bring the 7 down this side, and we see that we fully complete it. That actually is going to fully complete the 4 coming down and the 10 coming across and leave behind a 1 hidden polyomino there. This 9 closes out by finishing here. This 4 comes here. The 6 comes down. This 15 now doesn't have a lot of room to finish, but it will always take cells like this, and that means that this 4 will always take the last cells for it and connect in this way. So we're going to have a chase of these ends over to the right side. The count of the 15 is going to be more limited than the count of the 14, so we'll start with that. We've got 10, 13. This is the final count of the 15. And marking in the edges we know, because I think we'll end up using the edge checking mode here. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This could be 12, 13, 14, but we also have the pattern up above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if this were used, we'd have 10, 11, 12. That would be a problem. And so we actually have to join these together to get enough spaces for 2 14 groups to live. And that deflects down. And we need to take these 3 cells to get to a full set of 14. This will need to still take 2 more cells, so it takes those to finish the 14, leaves behind a 1 and 2. This 6 is going to come over to the left, and the 4 comes to the left, and the 2 comes to the left, and that means the final group will be 4, leaving a hidden polyomino 2. So we finished this grid, a really elegant construction, not too difficult, but for a larger puzzle with this magic square theme in the center, it solves silky smooth, which you might not expect is possible in this construction. So another great example of the puzzles from Grant that we've come to know and respect. And happy birthday, Grant. Hope you have a great one. We'll see you all again soon.